Welcome to Cold Front Conversation. I'm Adam. I'm joined here by Goose in the quarter zip, as always, Alex in the red hoodie, and Mitch in the Color Rush jersey. So welcome. We jump right into this here, and we're going to go right off of the heels of the Bills' 34-10 win over the Tennessee Titans. So maybe it is your typical Bills game this year, right? Tale of two halves.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. First half, they look like they've never played professional football to an extent. In the second half, they're world beaters. So, what's your take on that, Alex? How'd that look to you?
Yeah, the same. I mean, they were just getting run over in that first half. The defense couldn't really stop much of anything. They were just running all over them. But yeah, I don't know what they say in that, and during halftime, I don't know what McDermott's normally saying to them, but they really changed completely. Like their scheme, everything just changes for them.
Their halftime adjustments have been, I'd say, for the most part, on point for this year, especially defensively. Coming out, I don't think that what's his name, Bobby Babich. I don't know, didn't game plan well in the past several weeks. I guess the first half. I mean, going all the way back to Baltimore to start, but yeah, totally agree. But go ahead and continue, Alex.
Oh no, it was the same. I mean, but on offense, they couldn't even. I mean, which I was confused because we normally win the toss and then we defer. I didn't understand why we switched it up this game.
I heard someone talk, maybe it was Sal Paccio or someone, that they weren't sure how the wind was going to be in the fourth, so they wanted to make sure they had the ball first in the first half, and then could game plan for the wind down the road. But I don't know that that's really the best explanation on a game that there's been tons of wind in Highmark in the past. I don't know that they've ever made that type of, or at least I've heard that explanation.
I wonder if the new build for the stadium here is going to be the same kind of wind issues in the stadium, or same wind circulation that they have, especially in the end zones.
I thought they were putting aren't they supposed to put mesh things up or whatever, so that it's supposed to hinder the amount of wind that comes through?
Yeah, that's supposed to actually almost look like Tottenham Spurs Stadium, right? If I remember correctly. So it's actually supposed to prevent more wind from coming in. It's supposed to help prevent snow from hitting the very top level. Oh, okay. So it's all supposed to kind of be open, kind of in the center, but it's going to kind of be
still the overhangs.
Kind of like
this. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of
Okay.
Insert picture here.
Yeah.
Right. I also heard that they're going to have vents that they can open along the top end to help equalize the wind. I don't know if that's real or Twitter, but yeah, Goose is 100% right. I mean, it's I think it's like a 60% coverage over the entire internal aspect of the field. So it'll still be open topped and you'll still be cold and it'll still, you'll get some snow, but nothing. I mean, they shouldn't be shoveling out the stadium or having to move the game stadium wise in the future.
Yeah, as much fun as that is.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So
do you guys ever do that?
I never did the shoveling, no. But I mean, my section, I've ever been to one of those games, was never shoveled anyways. So by the time the game actually happens, there's still 8 to 12, 14 inches of snow at the end, the seats and the aisles and stuff.
We went to the Miami Buffalo playoff game a couple years ago, the whole snowballs on the field game. And that was, our section wasn't shoveled at all. It was just all right there. And that was
100 section.
3 feet at that point. Yeah. So everyone was just knocking it down onto the ground, and your feet were 18 inches off once it was all compact, maybe 12 inches off the concrete and frozen.
Right.
So yeah, it was stellar, but they won, and that's all that matters, I guess. So
right.
Yep.
Back to Tennessee though. Josh Allen's 100th career start was with Tennessee. Interesting fact. I actually looked this up earlier, just because he has no interceptions. How many turnovers Josh Allen has on the year? 4 fumbles, 2 of them are lost, so 2 turnovers. On his career, though, he has 63 fumbles, which is insane.
Well, you got to think.
I
feel like
a
a
lot
lot-
of that's running. I mean, he
I know,
he
absolutely.
got hit a few times, and a few times. I mean, a lot of those were also probably those first 2 years. He got sacked a lot. Those first couple years that he was
He-
starting.
He had a few
He got
games where he
strip
had
sacked.
2 to 3 per game.
Not lost,
so-
but total fumble.
yeah. Right. Yeah. 26 total lost, but 63 total career. So I mean,
What's
not
his
over.
total touchdowns? Do you know?
No, I don't. Off the top of my head.
He's
Um,
isn't he close to OJ's record? Or,
close to Thurman
Right.
and OJ. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
not too far off. If he has now, granted, he had 15 or 16 last year, something rushing. But if he has like, I think 7 over the next 3 years each, he'll have passed them by a clear, like a decent amount, something like that. He'll pass them in the 3rd year. Go ahead.
I'll say, but for the game, he went, 323, 2 TDs, 21 for 33. Still decent outing for playing only a half.
For 11.
Yeah, they had 3 punts, 3 consecutive punts in the first 4 series or first 5 series. Cooper 66 yards and a touchdown for his first game. First completion
Mark.
pass was for a touchdown.
and he didn't even know where he was supposed to go for that.
Right. Check down to Coleman. You can never be penalized for
179
too much
touchdowns for
communication.
his career.
Nice. How many? Does it say how many picks he has?
178. 78.
So 179 and 78, and then 26 picks is 104. So 179 to 104 touchdown to turnover ratio, or even touchdown to pick. That's like 2.4 ish. That's a pretty good ratio.
Yep.
Throwing 2.5 touchdowns for every pick.
That includes his rushings
He's got
or just throwing. Just
throwing.
Oh, that doesn't include any of the rushing touchdowns.
includes, so rushing adds another 56.
So 179 and 56, or 178 and 56.
179, 56. Yep.
So 225, 235.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
235. Yeah.
235 total touchdowns to 104 total turnovers.
He's got
pretty good.
35 fumbles, technically.
Oh, okay. So,
his
but
career.
still, yeah, close to 2.5. Not
35?
I'll take
I mean,
it.
I'm looking. I just looked it up. It's 663. His career.
And like you said, Mitch, he's had 2 fumbles this year through seven games.
He's had 4 fumbles. He lost 2.
But well, you only count
This
Two
season.
turnovers.
Yeah.
turnovers. So
And some of those turnovers are them like going for it's like 4th and like 30, and they're just throwing it up.
well, he's thrown some arm punts.
Like it's like a punt. It goes down to the 10.
Yeah,
He has
they
had a
used
few
him for
throws
quite a
this
while.
year that probably should have been picked that weren't.
Oh, yeah.
That probably would have been in the past, but
I think he
still-
throws those ones a little bit extra harder, just because he knows they're going into traffic, and odds are if he hits the guy square in the chest or in the face, he's not going to catch it.
I've seen some TikToks like they'll do like all the quarterbacks. Was it their fault, receiver's fault, or arm punt? Right? Like, and I think last year when they did Allen's, he had like five or 6 just 3rd and 18s, 3rd and 19 type of situations where he throws a 60-yard ball, 65-yard ball. In some cases, you're better than a punt, especially the
Well,
way
you're
Martin
trying to catch it, maybe a PI or
right.
something like that
Like
that way
Mahomes
too.
Yeah. Well, I remember last year after the opening game, the Jets, Dan Orlovsky was, breaking down I think, what did Allen have, 3 or 4 picks or something that game?
3 Mike to same safety.
Yeah, and two of them were, he was like, 2 of these are basically punts. They were 3rd and super long, and you're just throwing it out deep and getting picked. So it doesn't really affect the game to some extent. And I remember him sitting out there
Breaking that down. Yeah.
Yep.
I want to talk about Ray Davis for a minute. So another week, he's shown up. I mean, 5 carries, 41 yards, and a touchdown. 40 yards on 5 carries. Take that all day. He's different style than Cook, where and he picked up some good blocks for being such a little guy. I mean, low center of gravity. He's picking up some big boys on the end. Nice to see from such a young kid.
Gonna have a little thunder lightning combo. Bringing that back from the
A little bit of
2000
thunder.
Giants.
A little bit of light.
His track to the NFL is kind of crazy too, with being homeless and everything. But
Yeah.
It's actually amazing how many of them, like how many of the players and all across the athletes, like how many of them have been homeless or struggling at some point or another. It's pretty crazy.
Wasn't Josh Jacobs the same way? Right?
Yes.
As far as we mentioned adjustments earlier at half, it's been bipolar, right? It's been at the beginning of the game, Tony Pollard's running on him. Mason Rudolph, I mean, he only averaged like 4.7 yards per throw.
He's still making completions.
Yards after
yards
after catch was big though in the first half.
Well, how many times did they run play action and hit a tight end, or their third receiver for a 4-yard throw turns into 7 or 8, or a little bit more if it was on the outside edges. I mean, that's McDermott's bend don't break. That all being said, they only got 10 points. As much as I felt like they were in control of that first half, they only got 10 points, and I know we ran off 34 unanswered.
Couple clutch turnovers.
Fumble, pick.
Epinesa had a really great game on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, he had 1 sack, but I think he had 6 or 7 quarterback hits.
He almost had a pick too, didn't he?
Yeah, hit him in the hands.
Hit him in the hands and he dropped it.
Yeah, the screenplay.
Yeah.
You're talking Epinesa or Rousseau?
Epinesa.
Well, and Rousseau had the NFL lead
Rousseau
this
had
year.
a good game too.
Yeah, well, Rousseau had the NFL lead this year for hits in a game.
Hits in a game.
He was credited with 8 quarterback hits, which is 7 was the highest, and it was like Myles Garrett or there was like 2 or 3 guys that were tied.
There's 3 guys. Yeah, I did see that.
But they're all names. You know, they're all guys.
It was Parsons. Right. It was Parsons, Garrett, and Aaron Donald. I think it was.
Not Donald.
Was retired. Was it? Well, no, I thought it was all time.
No, it was this season.
Wasn't. Oh, this season. Gotcha.
This season, yeah. I'm sure all time. You're probably going back to what's it called?
Jason Taylor and JPP.
Probably like Reggie White or Bruce or one of those just dominant defensive ends that never came off the field.
Different style game too.
Mm-hmm. And those guys would hit the quarterback differently than they do now.
Yeah.
So
my biggest concern though still is third down conversions. Big 12, 14 yards again. Even on stupid little 2-3 yard slant. Like you said, the tight ends they were killing us with the tight ends. But it's all a lot of on third down conversions and then going down the field. Some terrible penalties that kept some drives going for them as well. But third down still seemed to be our kryptonite on the defensive side.
Yeah, Felicia and I were watching the game,
rushing,
and they had said something about third down conversions, and I said, "Well, don't worry. That's like they hadn't done something. The Tennessee had been struggling at that. Yeah. I was like, don't worry. The Bills are what gets everyone back on track with that kind of stuff. Always, always. Somebody hasn't like had they played the Browns where they hadn't converted 26 straight third downs. You know, the first series against Buffalo, they would have converted." Just to break that, just to snap that. But that's all right. All right. Well, so let's quickly do the looking forward. Seattle at 4:25 this Sunday in Seattle.
4:05, isn't it?
4:05.
4:05. I'm sorry.
4:05. Yeah.
Yep. So 4:05 this Sunday in Seattle. Let's swing it up to Goose. Goose, what is your thoughts and prediction on that game?
I mean, yeah, it was a tough place to play, but given the fact that the Giants won there, they should be able to take care of business.
No Metcalf.
That's right.
Is he really
Metcalf's
out?
Injured.
Yeah, he's out.
Yep. I mean, they have, previous to Metcalf going out, they started to get a little healthy, and they had a couple really good games after the Giants lost. But I expect the Bills should be able to pull that one out. I think it's going to be a little bit more multiple sided on this one. I'd probably expect like 27-20 or 27-24, something like that. As far as like a score goes, 30-24, something like that. I know I just threw out three numbers, but three scores, but
with a
something
Bills
something
winner.
around like that, like number.
That last number is actually what I thought it was going to be. 30-24. I think it's.
Right.
I think Seattle is a team that's kind of strange because they can play really well and then play. And I really think that they're going to come into this game and really come to play. And I think they're going to. I think they're going to be. It's going to be closer than I think most people would expect it to be.
It all depends on how well they being Seattle runs the ball, because if they don't run the ball well, then they're not going to do very well, because if they just be one dimensional, Buffalo's going to run all over them to some extent. But
Gino will be their best runner.
Or Charbonnet. I mean, Charbonnet's back too.
Yeah, that's true. He can just
But
do
if
back
Charbonnet can run the ball and get started, because that's what Buffalo's had issues with in the first half, especially is running, then it could be a lot closer.
I think Buffalo's going to fix their first half woes, and we're going to see a hot start. I'm going to say 34-20 Buffalo.
Okay. Yeah, I think Walker's healthy, right? The running back for Seattle.
Yeah.
Mitch and I were talking about it a little earlier today, but I think it all comes down to, can the Bills put up enough numbers quickly, or, can they score 2 touchdowns in the first 3 possessions, that kind of thing, that they can take the ball out of Walker's hands.
Yep. Get him out of the run game.
Yeah, if he can break one, you've seen it online, right? Like that guy can hit a hole and turn a 6-yard one into a 30-yard one, or a 30-yard one into a 80-yard. That being said, I don't think Seattle's defense is that good. I don't think they're as good as Tennessee's defense. And I'm thinking like 31-17. If they had Metcalf, I would play it.
I'd say it'd be closer. Yeah.
But if he's officially out, then yeah, I think the Bills are gonna. It won't be. I'm hoping it'll be comfortable, right? It'll be one of those ones where we get up by like 10 and we stay up by 10. We go to 13. They
back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah, but we keep pushing, and I'm hoping Tyler Bass has mentally figured it out. If you noticed his extra points, even he was kicking.
They're
them
booting him. Yeah, booting him.
He wasn't trying to be. Yep, he wasn't trying to be fancy and like save the legs, so to speak, and hit those line drives that he had been doing. He was just pounding those over the kicking net.
Yep.
And I'll take that all day. So, all right. We mentioned Amari Cooper. Mitchell said 4 for 66, or Goose did 4 for 66 on TD.
Yep.
And if you notice, they had their best. Well, he scored from the slot, inside of Coleman, so he ended up on a safety in that regard. But we were also in a 4-wide setup at that point. When it was after who got hurt?
Samuel?
Yeah, after
Samuel
left the game, Cooper then played what essentially was the 2, but they were Tennessee was putting their number 1 corner on Cooper. When they had the capability to do that.
Yeah,
I'm hoping that. That it should be just like when Diggs was here. I don't know that. We're getting a huge boost in the media. Bills are legit now. They have Amari Cooper, and I feel like it was weird that there was stretches last year when, we had Diggs. Diggs is he's definitely a top 10, in my opinion, in the league, and he's arguably like a top 5, maybe 6 when he's on. When Josh is throwing him the ball, like he had. They led the NFL over the time they were together in touchdowns, yards, and
receptions.
So, he was as legit as it could be, right? But we're getting that huge bump media-wise from Amari Cooper, and I'm hoping that teams will game plan. I could care less if Cooper has 800 yards this year and 5 touchdowns.
Well, and I think that's what their mentality is too. I hope. I mean, I hope it is. Yeah.
But that means Shakir is getting 75 catches. Kincaid's going to get 60. Coleman's going to get 50.
Coleman, yeah.
He went for 125 and what should have been a touchdown.
Well, he's just not as fast as the
No,
one.
I'm talking about the one they called back. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
You're
and
right.
that's
The other
another
one where he got
That's
caught.
the second one where he got caught.
Yeah, that was a good one. But so, anyways, I'm liking the addition because I think it frees up everyone else in the offense.
Yeah, I totally agree. Even in his press conferences and the way I saw the videos of him on the practice field, he's a very mellow person. Kind of not a loner, but very timid, business, professional.
Humble but hungry, if you will.
Yeah, oh my God. He bought into the process. All right.
I liked how he turned to Coleman on that touchdown throw, and he goes, "Hey, like, what route am I running?" And
Yeah, no, I'm not a lot of ego, I don't think, in that circumstance. Maybe ego against defenders, which is great. Like, go be you, but not at least not internally. It didn't seem.
Well, and the big talking points was it like drop balls, and he had the one, but
First
I think
ball.
that's the first one. But I also think like he's not used to somebody really whipping it at him.
Yeah.
Then that Allen can.
Hasn't
Yeah,
been motivated though either. I mean, to some extent, like you're going out there, like you're collecting the paycheck, obviously, but you're not.
Yeah,
you're not
mentally
playing for
bought in.
anything. Really, you're gonna you're gonna go out and lose to some extent. I mean, at least this year playing with the Browns. Last year, no, but this year, he had the one really good game against the Giants where he caught that first touchdown throw. They on the opening drive, the Browns, I think, got the ball and just tossed it down the field at one play into the corner, and he caught it. But it was just, it's really been his only good game this year so far until Sunday.
I don't, like I said, I don't need him to go off. I don't need him to be CeeDee Lamb or Jefferson or any of those guys.
And he doesn't have to be that.
No, give me 5 for 75. Give me 4 for 50 and a touchdown. Sure.
He needs to be the big body guy down in the red zone though too, to some extent. But now you also have another one that you can throw one up to in Coleman, but Cooper is going to get more attention. So now, and then you obviously have Kincaid too. So we've talked about this. I mean, I just think it's just going to make whole team the two options that I thought were always going to be the best two options, Bills wise, skipping Devontae Adams was going to be Cooper, and then the other one was going to be DeAndre Hopkins, were the two that I thought were going to be the best fits for what they needed and what they could do, route running and catching the ball. So
Chiefs had a very similar mindset, obviously.
Yeah.
Rolling into the DeAndre Hopkins 6 a.m. wake up this morning.
So annoying.
Sorry for the early texts, but
That's all
right. Breaking news. So DeAndre Hopkins to the Chiefs. He is starting this weekend. It's already been confirmed.
He didn't play much last week.
Nope.
I almost wonder if there was some conversations during the game last week and they pulled him because they didn't want him to get hurt. I'm almost kind of wondering because
he was on the sideline. They showed him on it was like the end of the third quarter on the sideline, helmet off, standing there, just chilling.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering if there was conversations about the trade on Sunday and they, the manager's box or whatever called down. It's like, hey, you got to pull him because we're talking to the Chiefs right now because the Chiefs played what? They played Thursday, didn't they? Or were they playing Sunday?
No, they played Sunday at 4.
Sunday, yeah.
They played Sunday at 4.
Yeah,
they
that's right.
They played the Niners. They played the Niners.
Game
That's
against
right.
the Niners.
Yeah.
I missed most of it. I fell asleep. Yeah.
5 picks between Purdy and Mahomes.
Yeah.
Mahomes looks, he looks so bad right now. He's like just normal.
Yeah, he's
But
he's
not even- he's still like one of the top like candidates for MVP, which
It's
I know we're going to talk
disgusting.
about in a
Bullshit.
minute.
Disgusting.
But like,
Yeah.
they're
And
winning.
then you have Lamar that went out and freaking threw 5 touchdown passes. He had 5 incomplete passes and 5 touchdown passes. Like that's
Yeah.
good for him. I mean, they're not playing. They're not. The other team not playing great, but So yeah. So anything else on D Hop?
I'm not really concerned about him with the Chiefs. Is anybody else?
I would be.
Yeah,
I
I'm not.
am super concerned in the sense of just that he knows how to catch passes and he doesn't drop them. So they don't need him to get 1,200 yards. They just need him to get what we were talking about for Cooper, that 800 yards or whatever for the year and stuff like that, and just be that third down guy. He's going to take a lot of shot, to some extent away from Kelsey because they're going to have to cover him.
That's all they have though. Worthy, Kelsey, Hopkins,
and
Well, I mean,
Schuster, but he's like,
No, he's hurt.
He's
hurt.
always
He's
getting hurt. So like he's
hurt,
never
yeah.
going to be there. Yeah.
So I mean, I don't disagree
still
that I
be
think
worried.
he'll be a weapon. He'll be a weapon, but
yeah.
And in the grand scheme, even like what he did in Arizona, he was very, very inconsistent in Arizona, and now he's in Tennessee. Didn't get the ball much in Tennessee, so you're talking 3 years of not having decent seasons. Not even like sitting on the bench or the waiver wire in fantasy football. Nobody has him on the team until now, but
Well,
go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead, finish up.
No, I'm just saying he's not even like Adam said it earlier today. He's a shell of himself. I think 3 or 4 years ago. He's a name, and he'll go up and get you the jump ball. But I think that's what he'll be used for more or less is the 20, 30 yard throw to try to draw a penalty, or I think that's what their game plan is.
I think that I think Reed will scheme him open. I think that's where he's dangerous. I think Kelsey always even at 35 or 34, whatever Kelsey is right now, still demanding double coverage, or at the very least being bracketed in between a couple guys, right?
Yeah.
And if they had Rashee Rice right now, I would legitimately be nervous. To Goose's point, he can still play ball.
I don't think they get Hopkins if they have Rice.
They don't, but they will now. At the same time, next year at least. I'm not concerned as a Bills fan for Hopkins. Like in that one game, maybe 2 now in the playoffs, I'm not overly concerned about Hopkins himself. However, as a team who you want to get to the 1 seed and you need some more losses out of Kansas City, it's not.
Yeah.
To me, that's not great because Reed will scheme him, and the guy hasn't been motivated. Look who's been throwing the ball the last 2 years in Tennessee, right? And Kyler Murray before that, the knock on Kyler 2 years ago, even
Too much COD.
Too much Call of Duty. He's not studying the playbook. Not that he's Johnny Manziel,
And he can't see over his lineman.
well, but so there's a bunch of stuff, bad decision making. So I'm not scared of him in a game against. He might get a touchdown, but the Chiefs are going to score points anyways, regardless. They're going to put up 30 on Buffalo. They always do, with the exception of 2 games in the Patrick Mahomes era, and they've played each other 8-10 times. So they're going to get their points. It's just a matter of who gets schemed to get it.
And their defense is playing really well.
They always do.
Chris Jones is a freaking monster.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Chris Jones is he's a top 5 defensive guy. Defensive lineman.
Monster.
But I think Hopkins is just taking Rashee Rice's spot. I think that's really all it is. So I agree with what you're saying there.
They're different.
Yeah, but I think they're just going to probably. I mean, they're different players.
Yeah,
but,
Rice is 10 years younger.
Yeah, and his he doesn't have any knee problems.
Hopkins doesn't. Yeah, Hopkins doesn't have the speed. So
He's a better route runner.
He's got the routes and he's got the jump ball. So
Well,
if you can put a guy on him that's a taller
can
corner.
catch. He has hands.
Oh yeah,
he can catch
absolutely.
anything.
But
Jump
I'm saying
ball,
he's
I
not
don't
going to
know
break
so
away
much.
from a guy.
He's not like 6'5" or something. Like he's 6'6" 6'2".
Hopkins.
I don't
Yeah,
think
he's not. So yeah, he can jump out of the gym, so to speak, Goose. And like you said, he's got mitts. He catches everything, and he's been around long enough to know the body positioning and the ways to get the call, but also to wiggle himself into position to make a play.
He knows how to catch that ball over the middle, and right now the Chiefs don't have anybody that can go over the middle and catch a ball. So that's the big thing, is that you really only had Kelsey that could play the middle of the field, and now you've just added one other person. So I think you're going to see something where
high-low posts.
Hopkins,
Yep.
You can see a lot of that.
Speaking of the trade world here, Cooper Cup is being shopped.
Yep.
Which I think is pretty crazy. Rumor is somebody called about Matt Stafford as well. I don't remember
That
who
would
it
be
was.
the Minnesota Vikings.
Minnesota Vikings.
Yep.
Which I'm not really sure if that's actually a better option than what they have right now based on what they're doing. But anyway, go ahead. Keep going.
So watching Pat McAfee, I watched the video earlier. Pat McAfee calls Brandon Bean right live on the show for like 5-minute conversation, and it's muted the entire time. But you see the reaction of the guys just put their heads on their, hands on their head and kind of overreact. I would,
Yes, they said they were joking just to say, like, we couldn't believe. And then actually Tone was like, I never thought that I'd see Stafford for Allen trade, but that's crazy. Like, just to be
stupid shit.
Jerk, but
but that's a crazy thought there. I know that they're saying that they would pay his salary, partial of his salary, for a trade prospect. So,
right. So,
I don't see that happening, given that they got Cooper. But so I'm just trying to think. A couple of the teams that they mentioned today,
Pittsburgh and Baltimore.
Named.
Pittsburgh and Baltimore.
The big one. Pittsburgh and Baltimore, I think, are the big two.
Baltimore would be scary.
Yeah,
that would be.
I actually think Pittsburgh would be scarier at this point. Pickens is so good, and how good their defense is. It's because Baltimore's defense, while they looked elite against the Bills, have not looked
great since. Yeah.
In the weeks prior and the weeks after, their pass defense is really suspect. Their pass rush is good, but their pass defense is really, really suspect. Whereas I think the Steelers' defense is a little bit higher of a caliber.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. He's scary to Pittsburgh because, in my opinion, that makes 2 teams out of that division, probably 3 with the Bengals.
You're getting the Bengals are going to get in.
Yeah,
Bengals are going to get in too.
That's 2 potentially. It depends on what Russ plays, right? He played well after he got his feet wet the other night, and but that's a tough division, right? You got to score a bunch against Cincinnati. And from an offensive perspective, and then you got to stay on your feet against Baltimore because they're constantly sending guys into the pocket. You saw how many times Allen got hit in that Baltimore game. All right, so that being said about Pittsburgh and Baltimore, it kind of leads us right into our MVP discussion real quick. So the most updated Vegas odds on MVP are as follows. I'll just list the top 5. Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jared Goff, and then a distant 5 is CJ Stroud. Which couple of things I'll throw out there and I'll let you guys obviously discuss.
Sorry, was it in that order?
In order. Correct. Okay. Yeah. Jackson, Mahomes, Allen, Goff, Stroud. Number 1, and just looking at that in a vacuum, in my opinion, at a point in time, I agree with only 3 of the people in the top 5. Personally, I would personally have it Jackson, Goff, Allen, and then I would say probably Derrick Henry,
I
and
would
then
agree with that.
and
Yeah.
then maybe I guess you could put Stroud and Love. They're actually really close in the ranking, but I could have Stroud and Love as 5. I would put Burrow there if the team was better, but they're an under sub 500 team. I feel like that's tough. But to Mitchell's point earlier, Jackson just threw for 5 TDs. His team is on. I mean, they had the toenail loss against the Chiefs at the beginning of the season, so they're a finger or toenail clipping away from being a 1-loss team, and they demoralized the Bills, who are arguably a top 3 or 4 team in the AFC. So I would say Lamar, just given the way he's playing and his stat line, puts him an easy 1. I can't believe Mahomes is 2. 6-8.
No.
Granted, he's 6-0, but he's got 6 touchdowns, 8 picks.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that is also them just anticipating that he's going to get better throughout the year. And I think now you obviously add another weapon to it. Which it's interesting that his stock really hasn't changed a whole lot in the sense that once Rashee Rice went down, I mean, I would have thought that would have dropped pretty significantly because he was the main weapon for the first couple weeks.
Yeah.
But I'm just kind of surprised it hasn't dropped at all. But I'm thinking they're projecting out by the end of the year, it's going to end up being figured out, and he's going to end up being Mahomes that we know he normally is.
Oh, I hope so, because fantasy football says otherwise.
Yeah. He was at plus 250, Mahomes was, a few weeks ago. And right now he's only at plus 400. He's still ahead of Allen. Allen's plus 550. Lamar took that top spot at plus 250.
But Allen's obviously dropped significantly since the Ravens and the Texans game. I mean, those had to have been a pretty big notch in
He went from
whatever.
1.
Yeah.
He went from 1
I
after
mean,
Jacksonville to,
yeah.
I think, 4 or 5 after the Baltimore.
But even then, like you said, look at touchdown to turnover ratio, 15-0 and 8-6. So
And that's
Allen
my
had
big
2
thing.
bad games. Guess what?
And that's the big thing that I remember, I remember being in the car with ESPN Radio talking about Allen's turnovers last year. And I was sitting there thinking, so you're going to take somebody that has 23 touchdowns and 12 interceptions to somebody that has 26 touchdowns, whatever, to 15. I mean, and you're going to scream and yell about the guy that has 3 more picks than the other one. Like, that makes no sense.
And had 15 rushing.
And really, if you really compare Lamar's stats last year to Allen's, it's really not that big of a
They said
gap.
Lamar's stats last year were the same as Tyrod Taylor's stats when he won the playoffs for Buffalo Bills. They're very, very similar. Very, very similar. Within 100 yards of passing or 200 yards of passing, within a touchdown or 2. Like it made 0 sense of why he won the MVP last year.
No. Yeah.
I was when it comes to the MVP though, like with Patrick Mahomes, anybody can. I mean, their defense is really carrying him a lot of the time right now. It's really not him. So I mean, like Lamar Jackson,
the defense and the refs.
Yeah, well, that too, yeah. Right. But like, I mean, Lamar Jackson, I mean, he still, leads that offensive unit. I think Derrick Henry running for all those touchdowns and that puts him in the category. But like Lamar is also dangerous with the run too, so you don't really know what's coming. So I think that putting him up at top makes the most sense. Yeah, but I really don't think Mahomes should even be in the category at all, in the top 5 at least.
For the first time, I agree with Lamar being there. Like it's even earlier in the season when he wasn't having a stellar start. And like I said, it was a lot of Henry. Like he was moving up in the MVP conversation because of the games Derrick Henry was having. Like if you have to scheme for the guy breaking an 87-yard rush or running over your freaking middle linebacker and still getting another 25, 30 yards, and of course your quarterback's going to have, a better game, but they're winning by 3-4 touchdowns or whatever they're winning by, and Lamar is getting a higher ranking in the MVP. It didn't make sense. But now, I mean, you throw for 5 touchdowns and five incompletions in a game. Like, more power to you, man. Good for you.
All right. Let's slide very, very rapidly into Mitch. Mitch and I golfed today out in Syracuse. And I'll be honest with you guys, it wasn't either of our best performances. However, Mitchell came back from a 9-hole deficit of 9 strokes to win by
2.
Win by 2. Where we were the Buffalo Bills, both of us. The first half, I played pretty well. But I mean, given the circumstances, it's fall golf. So there
Leaves
were
everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
When we should say everywhere, think of like when you make piles in the yard for your kids, and you can't see grass.
And try to find their ball in the middle of the
Try to
fairway
find a
like
golf
that.
ball. In the middle of the fairway, you lose a ball.
Yeah.
Right off the edge, you lose a ball. If you didn't step on it, you lost it, kind of thing. I think I went through, 13 or 14 golf balls today, and maybe 4 of them were ones that I like actually lost. So I started off okay. I think I shot 45 or 46 on the front, which isn't great generally. I mean, I'd shot 84 a week ago, but for 18.
I shot a 57 on the front with a 10 and an 8.
I have an 8. So Mitchell sucked on the front, and then as bad as he sucked on the front, I sucked worse on the back, and it was like flip a switch. It was terrible.
Yeah, I beat you by 1 stroke the first 3 holes, and then it was just like you fell off a cliff.
I couldn't. I might have. I know you guys aren't huge golfers, but I might have wasted on the last 6 holes. I might have wasted 12 chips. So I was chipping 3 times a hole. I could not.
That's my kind of golf right there. That's
me.
You're fucking. You're golfing real good.
Yeah, I could not. On the front side, I could at least get the ball in the air onto the green. It might be a little short, a little long, but it was playable and puttable. No big deal. Not where I'd want it to go all the time, but close enough. On the backside, I'm talking. I'd be 60 feet from the pin, which is like think of a clock. Bring my club back to I don't know, 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock maybe, and just give a nice, easy, smooth swing, get under it, and I would thin it or I would chunk it. I mean, the one time the club didn't even make it to the ball. It just hit the ground and stayed. So it was a travesty.
Yeah, I didn't play great on the back either. I just played consistent. Like, I played bogey golf on the back.
He did what I did on the front. Just put the ball in play every time, make a couple of good shots, and putt decently. Yeah. So he got that win, which means I have not beat Mitchell straight up at all this year.
Or last year.
I beat him in the scramble last year, but not in a head-to-head. Mitchell is a better golfer than I am. And he should never be within 2 strokes of me. But but it was bad. That's typically how
I don't think I couldn't tell you the last time. It's probably been 8 to 10 years that I shot a 57 on 9 holes.
Yeah. I mean, he beat me 103 to 101.
101 to 103.
101 to 103 or 100 to 102, whatever it was, which is terrible for us. I mean, like I said, I shot 84 a week ago, not a tougher course.
That's usually what I shoot around is mid to low 80s.
So Mitchell gets his flowers. Here you go, flowers.
End of the season crown.
So
that's the way to go with it. After losing the downfall in Florida, it was a nice victory lap.
That's fair. There you go. Let's slide over to our movie review for the week. Mitchell selected the movie Two for the Money with Matthew McConaughey and Al Pacino. So what we're going to do is we are going to go around the horn here. Because it's not a comedy, we don't need favorite quote or whatever. But let's start with Alex. Alex, just hit us with what you thought, and then your ranking out of 10.
I really liked the movie. It was a good pick. It was I really liked the one scene where they're all hanging out watching the Super Bowl. I mean, it's right at the end there, but they're all watching the Super Bowl, and it's just like it reminded me of like when you watch the guys on bar stools. They're all just sitting
That's
there,
exactly what I
like-
thought of too.
Like, yeah, just like having a good time and like
The
freaking out
lounge
about everything.
chairs. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, it was just a really cool movie. You know, that manicure scene was pretty funny where he sets him up
Oh,
with
he's hitting
his
up
wife.
his wife. Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was a good movie. I would give it 8.4. Yeah.
Matthew.
Yeah, I liked it. I'd never seen it before. I just kind of I kept like looking at the timing. I was like, oh wow, we're about an hour in. They just keep winning. They just keep winning. At some point or another, it's got to start hitting the downward. And all of a sudden, then the last hour was just McConaughey losing. And yeah, it was kind of interesting. And then he hit that rock bottom where he went to go see the girl that he, and yeah, you were only worth $5,000 or something, or I was
Yeah.
oh, that was a whole setup. Okay, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, no, it was I enjoyed it. I probably wouldn't go quite in the eights, but not. I'm a little bit tougher critic, but that doesn't mean I don't like it. Probably in like a 7.2, something like that. It was still good. I'd watch it again.
Michelinas, go ahead.
I mean, I've seen it plenty of times, so I kind of want to hear what you have to say.
I thought it was okay. I didn't realize I had seen parts of it before. Not, I mean, you turn on something, you don't know what the name of the movie is. Like
Yeah.
that kind of thing. You see it on like TBS or, you know what I'm saying? One of those kind of situations. So I didn't realize I had seen it until I was watching the full thing. That all being said, there were moments where I was like, oh, this is pretty good. But it seemed kind of not disjointed maybe, but a little bit lost in parts. Like they were like, yeah, we got McConaughey, we got Pacino, we're
Right.
gonna make it work. Like that's, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm not bagging on it. I don't think it's a bad
Oh.
movie. But I'd go like 6.5, 6.6. So I'll say 6.5 for the sake of giving it a solid score.
So
Did you feel it was a little longer winded than it needed to be? Like it was longer than it needed to be? Okay. I
Yeah.
Like we
kinda
gotta
got
hit the
that too.
2 hour
Not that
runtime. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it
Yeah.
was a little like, in that scenario, I was like, okay, like they're winning. We've spent 45 minutes on the fact that Matthew McConaughey is great on picking games. Like let's move on to the next part because I know it's going to crash at some point. But again, I'm not taking away because McConaughey's good at what he does, and Pacino did a really good job in this movie of playing that character.
Yeah.
So
So I would say, like I said, I've seen the movie several times. It's 20 years old almost at this point.
Yeah, 2005.
I got about halfway through the movie and I'm like, is this really as good as I thought it was? Just for that reason, like it is, like I said, long-winded. And it's very A movie, B movie. Like there's some scenes in it that are like filler or just don't make sense, don't add up. But still probably one of my better movies that I do enjoy watching. So I'm going to give it a 7.1 is where I'm going to end up on.
Okay. And what we're going to do is, as we continually do these, and you're going to see right here, boom, rank them as we go through. We'll continue to make our list, and we'll average out everyone's input, and we'll come up with our hierarchy of movies. So Mr. Matthew has the next pick. Matt, what are we watching?
I'm thrown off. You're actually calling me Matt because I don't think you call
Yeah,
me
that
Matt.
came out of left field.
The last time you called me Matt.
I thought about it
I'm gonna
earlier. I was
yeah.
going to go with Matt, Matthew, Goose. I was going to go around the board without your last name, obviously.
Yeah, right. So I'm going to throw something way out of left field here.
It's going to be like Pulp Fiction or something.
It's Bexton. It's one of Bexton's favorite movies. So we're gonna go with Godzilla, Kong, The New Empire.
Okay.
That's a newer one, right?
That's the new one. Just
yeah,
came out.
Yeah.
Just came out 2024. I'm gonna throw it
Not
out
where I
there.
thought you were headed when you said Bexton's favorite.
No,
movie.
I thought was there a Blue movie out that I didn't know? Like,
To be fair,
Or Bexton.
Bexton does have a bunch of dinosaurs and Godzilla and all that stuff in his playroom I saw. So that's
Mhm.
hey, go for it. James
All
is
right,
in
cool.
the same vein
something
right
different.
now. Yeah, no, that's great. That's it. It's like a summer action
Speaking of-
movie.
Yeah, speaking of James, I meant to ask, how is potty training going?
The last 3 daycare days, he has gone to the bathroom at daycare 3 times, like 3 times throughout the day, which is awesome because he wouldn't walk towards the bathroom at daycare.
For September, yeah, he wouldn't even go near the bathroom.
There's
Yeah.
holy water in there. You won't go near it.
He's a demon of supernatural. But no, it's going better. And my mom bought him Super Mario underwear, but they're like, what would they're
They're
long,
like padded, right? They're the
no,
long
no,
briefs
they're
padded.
like no, but they're like the compression shorts.
Yeah.
So he calls them Under Armour instead of underwear. And
Whatever
he's
works,
big on
yeah.
not getting those dirty. So that's
I will say she
getting-
did the same thing for Vince. And it actually helped a lot. She ordered him special, like let him pick him out when she came to visit, and that helped a lot.
Yeah, she's like what 3 for 110 as far as
right.
but those
This week,
work.
This
I
week.
appreciate it.
I remember with Bexton, like potty training, like it was a pain. Like I think it took 2 years, but we started them super early. But we all of a sudden just were like, you know what? No pull-ups, no diapers. We're just going to underwear. And he peed. I remember the first time he peed himself. He goes, "I'm wet." It's like, yeah, it's what it feels like, man. Like that's why you're supposed to go on the potty.
Right. No,
Yeah.
I think we're definitely not towards the not nighttime pull-up situation yet, but even in the last 5 days, there has been exponential progress based on the 4 years previous or three years previous. So I'm stoked that it's potentially almost over, and I don't have to spend.
Yeah, you just counting the savings on diapers.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a big part of it, man.
huge.
It's a big
and
part
then
of
going places even.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
I can, I will say my wife, and you guys all know her obviously, but my wife is she'll do anything, right? Like if she got to run him back to the car to change him, if she got to take him in the changing room, whatever she's got to do, she does it. She doesn't say 2 words about it. She just takes care of business. But knowing that it's like, grab your son and take him in the bathroom, and that obviously expedites any situation you're in, is a nice change of pace.
Mhm.
The girls were so easy. So easy.
Not having to worry
Yeah.
about carrying around a bag with wipes and a diaper, change clothes,
Mhm.
So
My Owen, my youngest, used to, even once we got him potty trained, he was still pooping in his pants, in his underwear all the time. He'd be out somewhere.
shout out Owen.
Just let it rip sometimes. And have company over, he'd crap in his
Yep.
pants.
Jackson definitely went through like he was potty trained for probably a month or 2, and he went into like that regression phase where he was just like pooping in his pants, which is annoying. But now he's gotten better. So
I say Emma did
really
that,
good.
but Vince didn't. Vince went full regression, peeing his pants and pooped. But
Yeah,
he's
the twins-
like potty trained, but now he wears a diaper at nighttime still.
The twins did that where one of them was fully potty trained for like 3 months, and the other one would have accidents, and then they'd swap.
Yeah.
And it was that way for legitimately for like 9 months, where it would for a month no accidents whatsoever, and then the next month they'd have a bunch, and the other one would be fine. It's like, you guys are literally
Yeah, we
crushing.
go through a strain where he'll still like pee in the bed or whatever, like at night, like, cause we don't put diaper on him or anything. We just have him in underwear at night, but like, it'll be a situation where all of a sudden we'll wake up, he'll come in, hey, Dad, I peed my bed. Oh, okay, man. No
Yeah.
problem. We'll go change it. And then the very next day, it'll be the same thing for like 3 days. And
I can't do the change of the sheets and the change of the bed and all that every day.
it's in the morning though,
I
which
know.
is okay.
Well,
But it's,
Well,
yeah,
I
it's,
work. I run out the door. Jess leaves for work at 6 a.m, so it's me. I
Yeah.
can't do that. No thanks.
Yeah. And it just, luckily, it only lasts for like 2 or 3 days. And then all of a sudden it'll go weeks, months without anything. So it's just kind of,
I said Vince is similar. He'll go like 5-6 days without doing it, and then 3 days in a row, 4 days in a row, and I'm like, no, I can't do this. Nope.
all I gotta do is pull the sheets off bed, man, throw them in the washer.
No, well, we have
He lost Alex.
a mattress pad and stuff underneath too. So that, but then he, got to wash his stuffed animal that he slept with. You got to wash the pillow that's now wet, and then the comforter. So,
So with that, as you can tell, cold front. So with that, as you can tell, cold front conversations, we run the gamut
encompass it all.
of what's going on in the world. So we lost Alex, as you can tell, to a system update on his computer. But we are going to finish up there. So thank you very much for sticking around, and we will see you next time.